He walked into Jungkook's office balancing a homemade meal in one hand and a glass of water in the other. His desk was covered with documents, contracts stacked high, some leaning dangerously close to collapsing. The tension in the air was thick, almost suffocating. Jungkook was sitting hunched over, one hand gripping his pen while the other pressed against his forehead, as if trying to push away an unbearable headache. His eyes were bloodshot, dark circles beneath them, evidence of his sleepless nights. His white dress shirt was wrinkled, sleeves rolled up to his elbows, exposing the taut muscle of his arms. He looked exhausted, completely drained. You sighed softly, stepping closer. Jungkook, you haven't eaten since morning. You need to take a break. He barely looked up, his voice sounded rough and distant. Not now, Wyan, I have too much to do. You placed the meal on his desk gently. That's what you said yesterday and the day before that. If you keep going like this, you'll collapse. Jungkook let out a deep sigh, his fingers rubbing his temples in frustration. I'll eat later. No, you won't. He exhaled sharply, his jaw clenching. Wyan, not now, please. Ignoring his irritation, you held out the glass of water. At least drink this. He sighed but reached for it, and just as his fingers brushed yours, the glass slipped. Cold water splashed across the table, soaking the documents beneath it. For a moment, everything was still. Then Jungkook shot up from his chair, his hands frantically trying to shake off the excess water from the ruined papers. His breathing turned uneven, chest rising and falling rapidly. Are you kidding me? His voice wasn't loud, but it was sharp, sharp enough to sting. I didn't mean to. It was an accident, you said, panicking, not expecting this disaster. An accident? Why? Do you know how important these documents are? I have meetings lined up, deadlines breathing down my neck, and now I have to redo everything. His tone was clipped, laced with frustration. He ran a hand through his messy hair, his other hand gripped the edge of the desk so tightly his knuckles turned white. Jungkook, I was just trying to help. Well, you didn't help, Wyan. You made it worse. The words cut deeper than they should have. You swallowed, stepping back slightly. I know you're stressed, but I didn't do this on purpose. I wanted you to take care of yourself. Jungkook let out a dry chuckle, shaking his head. I don't have time to take care of myself. I have a company to run, responsibilities piling up. He exhaled and then his voice dropped lower, more exhausted than angry. Maybe we shouldn't be living together. Maybe we should break up. The air turned still, your fingers clenched at your sides, your heartbeat pounding in your ears. Did you just say we should break up? Your words came out in a whisper as you looked at him in disbelief. His expression immediately shifted as he realized what just came out of his mouth. No, Wyan, I didn't mean. His fingers curled into his palm, his throat bobbing as he swallowed. I just mean, it's hard, Wyan, trying to balance everything. I barely have time to breathe, and then he stopped, shaking his head as if trying to stop himself from saying something worse. Your chest tightened and tears formed in your eyes. No, I get it. You said, stepping back, your heart shattered. He reached out, but you moved away before he could touch you. You are stressed. But if breaking up is something you even consider in moments like this, then maybe I'm not as important to you as I thought. You turned on your heel and walked out, leaving Jungkook frozen, his hands curled into fists at his sides. The door clicked shut behind you, and for the first time in a long while, Jungkook felt the weight of his own words suffocating him more than his work ever could. Jungkook had never realized how much silence could hurt. It had been 3 days. 3 days of waking up to a cold bed, 3 days of going to work without a morning kiss, 3 days of checking his phone only to see nothing from you. And when he saw you at work, acting like nothing had happened, treating him with the same polite professionalism you showed to every other employee, he felt something inside him snap. The past 3 days had been suffocating for both of you. As the manager of one of the key departments in Jungkook's company, avoiding him was almost impossible. Almost. You made sure to take early meetings before he arrived. You sent reports through his assistant instead of delivering them yourself. During executive meetings, you spoke professionally, never once looked directly at him. And when his eyes lingered on you, searching for any sign of warmth, you pretended not to notice. Jungkook felt it, the distant, the coldness, and it was driving him insane. At a morning briefing, Jungkook was sitting at the head of the long conference table, barely listening as the finance team droned on about projections. His eyes kept drifting to you. You sat 3 seats away, completely poised and professional, flipping through your notes. Normally you would sit next to him. Normally you would whisper little comments in his ear, making him bite back a smile. Normally you would be his YN. But today you were just manager YN. When the meeting ended, the team started to leave. Jungkook stood up, deliberately blocking your path. YN, you barely blinked. Yes, CEO John. His jaw clenched. CEO John, not Jungkook. Can we talk? If this is a work matter, please go through my assistant. If it's personal, I would prefer to keep that separate. Your tone was polite but firm. Then before he could respond, you walked away. Jungkook stared after you, his hands tightening into fists. Later that day, Jungkook tried again. You were reviewing reports when his assistant approached your desk. Miss Fine, CEO John has requested you in his office. You didn't even look up. Tell him I'm busy. The assistant hesitated. He said it's urgent. You finally met her eyes, expression unreadable. If it's urgent, he can email me. The assistant swallowed nervously. Understood. Jungkook watched through the glass walls of his office as his assistant returned alone. You weren't coming, and his patience snapped. He couldn't take it anymore, so that evening he stormed into your office. You were seated at your desk, typing away, not even flinching when the door slammed shut behind him. "Wine, we need to talk," he said firmly. You barely looked up. "I'm working," you said in a cold voice. Jungkook gritted his teeth. "I don't care. This can't wait." You exhaled slowly, your fingers pausing over the keyboard. "What do you want, Jungkook?" The way you said his name, without warmth, without affection, made his stomach twist painfully. "You're ignoring me." His eyes showed the pain, but it didn't erase the fact that he pushed you away. "Is it bothering? I'm giving you space. Isn't that what you wanted?" His jaw clenched. "No, I never wanted that." You let out a bitter chuckle, finally looking at him. "Funny because 3 days ago you looked me in the eye and said maybe we should break up. Jungkook flinched. Why? You know I didn't mean those words. I was exhausted, frustrated. I wasn't thinking. Your expression hardened. That's the problem, Jungkook. You weren't thinking. You just said the most reckless, hurtful thing that came to your mind, and you expect me to forget it? You said coldly, "No, I." You stood up abruptly, your chair scraping against the floor. Do you even understand what you did? You didn't just snap at me. You didn't just say something small. You told me that maybe we shouldn't live together anymore, that maybe this relationship was too hard. The anger was clearly visible in your voice. His throat tightened. I didn't mean it, he said softly. Then why the hell did you say it? He exhaled shakily, running a hand through his hair. Because I was drowning. Work has been a mess. Deadlines are piling up. My head was all over the place and I took it out on you. I'm so sorry. Your arms crossed over your chest. So I'm just a punching bag for when you're stressed. His eyes widened in panic. No, never, Ryan. You're the only thing keeping me sane. Your eyes burned with unshed tears, but your voice was steady. You don't get to say that now, Jungkook. You don't get to call me your peace when 3 days ago I was nothing but an inconvenience to you. Jungkook took a deep breath, stepping closer. You have never been an inconvenience. That night I was an idiot. I let my frustration control my words, and the second I said it, I regretted it. You swallowed hard, refusing to let your emotions take over. Then why didn't you take it back? He looked away ashamed. Because you left before I could. Your voice cracked. Do you know how much that hurt, Jungkook? I waited for you to stop me, to tell me you didn't mean it, but you just stood there. His hands curled into fists at his sides. Because I thought I had already ruined everything. You let out a shaky breath. And what if I had left for good? What if I had actually believed you? His expression shattered. Then I would have spent the rest of my life chasing after you. His voice came out hoarse, silence stretched between you. Jungkook inhaled sharply, his voice was thick with emotion. I love you, Ryan. I love you more than anything, and I don't want my worst moment to define us. Your shoulders tensed. Then what do you want, Jungkook? His throat tightened. I want to fix this. I want to fix us. You let out a slow breath, searching his face for sincerity. And how do I know you won't push me away again the next time things get hard? Jungkook exhaled shakily, his voice raw with sincerity. Because I've spent the last 3 days realizing that no stress, no deadline, no amount of pressure is worse than waking up without you by my side. Your heart clenched because losing you even for 3 days has been hell, and I never want to feel this way again. Tears burned at the back of your eyes, but you blinked them away. You really scared me, Jungkook. He finally closed the distance, cupping your face gently. I know, baby, and I swear I'll spend forever making sure you never feel that way again. A single tear slipped down your cheek and he wiped it away with his thumb. You took a shaky breath, then finally you leaned into his touch. I don't need forever, I just need you to mean it. A slow, relieved smile broke across his face. I do, I swear on everything I do. Then he pulled you into his arms, holding you so tightly you could barely breathe. But you didn't care because at that moment, wrapped in his warmth, you knew. He wasn't letting you go again, and this time neither were you.